Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon for me, but good morning and good evening. Oh, wait, no, good afternoon for Amparo, right?
Yes. Good
Gosh,
afternoon.
keeping track of all the time zones is crazy.
Mm.
Hello, Amparo.
Oh, how are you guys?
Doing great. I think the lesson of the week, I have an experience in real life.
Well, that's good. That's what you want. That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear about it. We're going to discuss all that stuff in a little bit. Okie dokie.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes.
Oh, goodness.
You okay?
Oh, there you go. Struggling to make this work and I can't, Louise is asleep.
No problem. Okay.
Now, it's so good to see you.
Look, you guys are so cute.
I think we had a 2-hour conversation today.
Was it only 2 hours?
Maybe more. I think it was probably more or longer.
I think it was 4.
Wow.
Mm,
That's more time than I ever get with you guys.
Yes.
I think it was
But we had
divine
a lot to
appointment.
catch up on.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
Hi. Hello. Sorry, we're still on our way from church. So I'm sorry, we're in the car again. But we're
It's
both
okay.
here. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's see. Is this it? I'm so terrible. I never can remember everybody. Okay. I can remember when I sit down and actually think, but when we get ready to start, I'm like, who's in this class again? Okay. So are you recognizing? Are we missing anybody?
I can't see Ola's husband.
Oh, he's with her, she said.
Oh.
So that's it, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And hi, Amanda. I see you joined us too. Nice to see you.
Hello. I'll be on in just a minute.
No problem. You guys, right before this, I was scarfing down food as fast as possible to try to get on. I was like, I'm going to burn my mouth. It's okay. I can do this. And I barely got on in time. So I'm here. If I still don't know if I have food on my face. I was like, Soren, do I have food on my face? Help me. He said, no, but you better check anyway. But hello, everyone. I hope you had a fantastic week. Did you have a good week? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Maybe good is not the right word.
All right. Well, how about let's start everything out by let's just focus in on our heavenly classroom first. See if there's anything going on that we need to be paying attention to. And then we'll share stuff about our homework this week, okay? All right, let's do it. Okay, can you guys focus back here, please? All right. So I'm going to nominate someone and then you nominate someone else. If you didn't get anything while we were engaging, it's okay. Just share that and nominate someone when you pass. Okay. So first, I'm starting with Renelle.
I saw us all being in the classroom, and it was quite precious because we were all holding hands. And it is if we all in this on a different journey, but all learning different things in different ways, but all forming a unity, if I can put it that way. Every time when I engage in the heavenly classroom, the seven spirits of the Lord are always present. And I don't know whether it was because of after my engagement with Janina today, but this is what came out of our engagement, is that the heavenly beings that are ascribed to us also want us to commission them to do things for us, because that's what they want to do, and it elevates them and it helps us not feeling we have to fight and we can govern from peace. But that came out of my engagement today, and I definitely saw four heavenly beings very clearly present, and assuring us that please, that are there for us to commission them.
That's awesome. Okay, before you nominate someone else, can I share something kind of funny? It's about the commissioning. The first time I ever saw the Court of Angels, I went and I could see that Yeshua was going and asking who wanted to be involved to take and deliver this court message into the earth. And you should have seen these angels like jumping up and down, going, pick me, pick me. And it was hilarious to see how much they wanted to be involved in something that to me seemed like, would this even be fun? You know what I mean? But they were so excited to be a part of it. And so when you said that they would love to be a part of these things that we're doing and it was like elevating them, I resonate with that a lot. And I see like this is a really big deal to them too, you know. So anyway, that's cool. All right, who would you like to nominate?
I don't know why, but I can't see who's on today. I can't see anyone. But is
You can't
Amanda
see
on today?
anyone. Okay,
I don't know. I can't see anyone. I don't know where to see the list. of
swipe
people.
left. Swipe left.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Amanda.
Hello.
Hi.
So it was funny what y'all were talking about, because as soon as I entered the classroom, I see a bunch of giddy. The atmosphere is so giddy and everybody's so excited, and they were just ready. And I couldn't tell exactly who was in there, but I did see Melchizedek in there. And everybody was just like laughing, and they were like, it was a very special class. And just, that's what I saw. I saw some other stuff in there. Um, but I can't remember what it was that I saw. But I said, okay, Yeshua, I know that this is a lot of things that I'm seeing, but you'll tell me what to say when it's time for me to say. So that's pretty much what I have to say.
That's cool. Thanks, Amanda. All right, who do you nominate?
Janina.
Okay.
Okay, so I had a very similar experience to Renal. I sensed that there was, so much excitement in the heavenly classroom. And the excitement was about our awakening and the fact that we are becoming aware of them and how to partner with them. And I felt that it was their morphic field, kind of like imprinting on us. So as they go in their mission to restore the distorted light in us and in our relationships, that ability is also imprinting on us.
That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, who do you nominate?
Hola.
Hola,
Hello,
can
can
you
you hear
talk?
me?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Sorry, we just go home. So I saw in the class, every time I try and go in to engage,
Mhm.
I see the same pictures that I see when I joined before. But one thing I saw this time, which I don't necessarily fully understand, is that there's like a purity thing. I don't know what that means on us all. I don't know if I don't know what it means, but I saw something about purity on us all.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay, awesome. Well, who would you like to nominate? Either Amparo or Debo? Oh,
Oh, I nominate her.
okay.
Okay, I really didn't see anything. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. No problem. Okay, Debo's hopping on right now. I just here he is. Okay. So, do you want to pass to him? Okay. All right, Debo. I know you're just now hopping on. I don't know if you were able to engage in the heavenly classroom with us or not. I know you were probably driving, but it's your turn if you'd like to share anything that you experienced.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Yes, I was able to engage, but it was a bit of a struggle. I couldn't really get much. I was just going in and out, so and I was rushing, so I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, so the
Quick
Lord
question.
started. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Debo.
When you are driving and you're out and about, is
Yeah.
there a technique or a way that we can engage effectively?
Yes, it just takes practice though. Okay. So, um, for me, I don't close my eyes when I'm driving, for instance. That's something I try to pay attention to. But I do try to especially engage angels and things. So sometimes it helps if I speak in tongues while I'm driving, just because for me, it helps me focus in the spirit more. It doesn't mean that you'll be like that. I don't know. But for me, that really helps. And so sometimes if I really need to focus, like there are times when I'll get a message and someone's like, I need you to engage over me right now. I'm dying or something. Okay. If that happens, then I immediately turn my focus to the heavenlies. I usually start speaking in tongues. I generally just ask the Lord to show me anything I need to see or sense anything. So I may or may not be seeing anything, but I'll get a lot of words about things. I don't know if that makes sense, or like a knowing about things that are important. So for me, thankfully, here's something you might do. It might seem basic, but when I was young, I was introduced to the book The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's actually really short, and it's not technically by him. It is about him. It was written after he had already passed on, but it's basically a collection of letters he wrote and memoirs, like journaling. But what it is, it's all about kind of learning to practice being in the presence of the Lord while you're doing other things. And that helped me so much in my walk in the very beginning, before I even understood engaging. But what that did is it helped me start to practice. And he really said, practice the presence of God. And it sounds a little crazy, but it's really about constantly practicing. So when I first started engaging, I think some of you know my sister Kim and her husband Jason. They had a little baby, and I was babysitter to new baby. I already had 3 kids. I homeschooled. I did ministry. But they're like, hey, we work full time. Can you take care of our little baby all day, every day? And so actually, at first I told him no. And then the Lord said, Chris, I'm saying yes. And so anyway, I took care of her. But if you guys know about having little ones, it like takes a lot of your attention, a lot of your attention. And on top of doing everything else, but for me, I had to practice at all times engaging, even when I was loading the dishwasher and I was changing a diaper and I was laying her down to sleep and I was going to the bathroom and all of these things. I would engage in while doing all these things. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to engage at all. And so I did that all the time, and I just practiced. And so for me, I didn't have a lot of time that I could set aside the right lighting, the right music, this long time of being by myself. I just did not have that opportunity like a lot of people. And so I went after the Lord all the time, even if I didn't succeed. And it really was like the practice of the presence of God. It was, I am going to practice this. Even if I see nothing, I'm going to do it again. And so throughout my day, I would just practice like probably 20 times a day. I'm really focusing in, or trying to at least. And it helped so much. I really accelerated quickly because I was focused on practicing that. And so anyway, I'm saying that to say there's no big secret. It's really just a practice of being able to focus on 2 things at once, basically be in 2 realms at once. And, you don't have to be in a dark room or whatever to be able to do it. It just takes a little practice sometimes to be able to do the 2 things at once. So driving is kind of the hardest because you have your attention on lots of things. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, when I pressed in, I saw the whole class And by the way, when we see different things, it doesn't mean that one of us is wrong. Okay. It's that the Lord is showing us a different perspective of things, and he wants us to experience things differently. And okay, so today what we're going to talk about after we share the homework stuff is rest. And I saw everyone in this big pool of water together, like happy, but resting. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of joyful rest. If you imagine, oh my gosh, I just finally got home and I have this beautiful pool and I'm just going to relax in the pool and be carefree. That was the feeling. Okay. And so anyway, the Lord started just giving me lots of downloads about what I'm supposed to share today. So I really, if I share everything now, it'll take 2 hours, but anyway, let's just start first with sharing together what we experienced this week with our homework on Christian witchcraft. Okay. And I'm going to start with Amparo. Would you please start? I saw that face.
Okay. Well, like I said, sometimes it's through experience, because I really wasn't getting anything, but on last Sunday, there was we have I attend a fairly small church, okay, and a prophet came, and because it's a small church, he gave nice words of encouragement to everybody except me. So I thought, Lord, first I was, but then now I know how to engage, and through engage me, he gave me a word, and then I was, now I'm in peace, and then on this Friday, there was a meeting with another prophet in a house. And I first was, I want to go. But after this experience on Sunday, I said, I forgot to ask permission at work, so I'm not going. It's like, the Lord already talked with me, and that's fine, So that's what happened to me.
I love it, actually. It's funny, but this is how I am. I think I may have kind of shared this, but I would way rather get a word directly from the Lord than through another person and their filter, which they may or may not be functioning. And I'm not trying to accuse, but it's so much better for me to directly receive it than to get it from someone else. And so all these people who seek the word from the prophet, I'm just like, I do not relate. I don't relate at all with that. Now, I don't think it's bad for people to get words from prophets at all. Of course, the Lord's done that with me a million times, but it's so nice to kind of have that direct relationship, right?
Exactly. And today at worship, I love to dance like the dancers, for the Lord, but I am overweight. I can't, but I did it in the spirit.
Yeah.
I did it, and I was dancing, and I saw my son, my family together enjoy, and I think that's the best worship, I feel, because that gives also faith that my family will be restored.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So
Cool. Thank you.
you're
Well,
welcome.
is there anything else you'd like to share? Or would you like to nominate someone else?
Yes, let's do Janina.
Okay.
Okay, so Christine, I just want to check with you. There's two different questions. You just want the first question, right?
I want whatever you want to share.
Okay. Okay, so someone once asked me, what is the difference between an imaginary friend and these beings that are assisting you in your therapy? And I was like, good question. I actually don't know. And then last week, when you taught on the Christian witchcraft, you said that we always have to go through Yeshua when we engage these beings. And I was like, oh, and now I know what's the difference between an imaginary friend and when we are assisted by one of our heavenly, they are like brothers, right?
I mean, yeah,
Sons.
for sure. I would say, to me, everyone in the heavenly realms are family. And so that's how it feels to me. And so, yeah, I would say they're brothers. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's cool. So you got
Let me
some clarity
see
on that, huh?
if there's one thing. So when Ronald and I engaged this afternoon, it was like the one portal opened on top of the other one, on top of the other one. It felt to me like we are walking down this long corridor and the doors are just swinging open and we just couldn't stop. I checked Ronald, it was 4 hours.
Mm.
You guys have so much
That's
more
wonderful.
patience than me. I'm engaged. Let me just tell you, this is so silly. But how I am is I go really fast and quick in the spirit. And so, like, when we engage the heavenly classroom, it feels like a really long time to me. And I'm done in like 1 or 2 minutes. And I look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I stop now, no one's going to have time. And so I have to force myself to go longer, like just 10 minutes or something, because I've been done for a long time. So I can't imagine engaging for 4 hours
No,
straight and like,
no, but it wasn't engaging all the time. But
oh,
as we were sharing, we would just get revelation, I think. I don't know. And then we'd just continue to do something else and something else. But then we did engage, but not all the time for 4 hours. I couldn't do that. But it felt like the whole afternoon was one long engagement because we shared what we both felt and saw and experienced, and in a lot of ways complementing each other in or by confirming what the one thought or felt in a way that was very reassuring. I felt it was just very precious.
that's awesome.
And something that we managed to do was, when we engage, we ask, so say for instance, somebody would say, I have this, and then we would ask, what do we have to see about this situation? That's what we did the whole time. So we would script the scenario, say this is happening to me, and then we would engage. What do we need to know about this? And then another one unfolds, and then we engage in that, and then the next one unfolds. So it was really no Christian witchcraft.
That's awesome. Cool.
Okay, so Renelle, do you still have something to share?
Something actually that did happen this week. Not about the Christian witchcraft. No, I wouldn't say that. But I will share this, that it was actually Christine who taught me about this a while ago when probably almost a year ago when my friend had diagnosed with cancer in her heart, when I was just vigorously praying for her to get healed, but I wanted it to happen instantly. Like they just needed to go for the scan and it would just have to be gone because I felt so strong that she was going to be healed. And you taught me then already that I need to ask Yeshua how he wants to heal her, and it's not necessarily how I want it to happen. and she is healed. 6 months later, she had a PET scan. She's completely healed, but it
Yay.
didn't happen instantly. But I learned then that I often just do things out of my heart, but I need to check with the Lord how He wants it to happen, because He has a plan. But something else happened this week regarding the spirit of discernment. Last year in September, when I visited my son in Sydney, I met his girlfriend for the very first time. And he didn't tell me about her, but literally told me the night before when I arrived, and we were going to go for dinner the next night. And we arrived early, and the minute that she arrived, she went to the bathroom and she came back. She was probably, we had a 10-minute conversation, and she went to the bathroom. And I was very emotional. I've never felt this way ever, that I was so emotional about how much I liked her. She was just so precious, and I even said to John Louis, I really think she's the one. And I just loved her straight away, and I felt so much compassion for her. I only afterwards heard that she's from a very broken family, and her mom left her when she was 5, and she's very broken, although lovely person, very sweet and everything. But anyway, so I really liked her from the first minute, but I was very emotionally overwhelmed, and I don't know why, but anyway. So last week they broke up. For very good reasons from both of them, more so from him, but it's different reasons, and I can share that another time. But I was so questioning why I reacted that way when now they break up. When I was so, was I not hearing right, or why was I so very emotionally affected by meeting her? And you know what I heard straight away from Yahweh? He said that you felt what I feel about her. And that was for me very precious and sweet.
That's so awesome.
Mm.
I love that. I feel like, I'll tell you this, there's something special that the Lord also was doing in you when He showed you His heart for her. And I think even now, you're supposed to kind of care for her in the spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
do.
mother her, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm supporting her with messages, but I am caring. I'm praying for her in the spirit. She's very lonely, and this is hard on her, but I feel that's what I'm meant to do.
That's awesome.
And I told my son, and he said that's okay.
That's
Thanks,
good.
Christine. Thanks, Christine.
Yeah. Okay. Who would you like to go next? We have Debo or Ola. What did you say, Debo?
Debo, yes.
Debo.
Hi, can you hear?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Your teaching last week was actually real eye-opener for me, because it made me realize that growing up in an African country, in an African background, there is actually a lot of Christian witchcraft, because a lot of people are looking for a word, looking for prophecies, and so end up going to the wrong places and doing the wrong thing. Growing up, I saw a lot of it happen. Oftentimes, I never really thought about it, because for when I was much younger, it was just kind of fun or funny when you see and you hear everything that's going on. But when I look back now, I realized that there were a lot of people who were looking for help, but they were going to look for help in the wrong place. Because the first thing each and every one of us should do is actually work on our relationship with God. And from there, God will actually bring people our way
Mm-hmm.
who will bless us and who will be a blessing to and who will be a blessing to us, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it actually made me, God just opened my heart to see how we as human beings try to help God a lot. You know, and so God has said he wants to make me a billionaire, and so I'm waiting for him to make me a billionaire, but it hasn't happened. So I'm trying to help God because I want what he has said to come to pass, but I'm not waiting for his time. You know, and I realize that it all has to do with our heart, and each time. I thank God for Christine's life, because Christine has actually helped me in particular to actually hang back and realize I can't push, but he keeps on saying something that she always asks Yeshua. So what should I do? How should I do? How should we engage? You know, and I realize that in my life, it's something that I need to actually work on, and letting Yeshua take control and lead me and guide me. And I think about a week or 2 weeks ago, we prayed, and you said we should just let Yeshua take charge. And I'm thankful for that, because it has made a difference for me, because I don't have to be in control anymore or try to do what I want. It's now a case of finding out what he wants and doing what he wants instead of what I think and feel and want.
That makes so much sense. And you know, I was thinking about when you said this, I think one of the most important things that we can do is if we have a direction from the Lord, like, okay, you said the Lord put it on your heart that you're going to be a billionaire or something, right? And, you know, there are people who, there are kind of two typical kinds of people. Someone who'll get a word like that and then freeze and go, I have no idea what to do with that. I mean, I believe God, but how? And then there's the other type of person that goes, okay, well, now I got to make it happen. And there's actually this third way that I feel like, Debo, you're learning. And we're all still learning, I feel like, but you know, you shared that you're learning this, that you hear that from the Lord. And now you go, okay, Lord, what do I do with that? What next?
Yes.
You say, okay, lead me into my first step. What do I do? And it could be that all it has to do is, you know, releasing stuff from heaven to the earth. You know, it may not be go get this job and then do this. It might be, but all the only thing that we should be good at is just asking the Lord, what do I do? Lead me. Will you lead me? Can we just be good followers of Yeshua? That's, you know, that's what we need to do. The other thing is that you were talking about, and I have seen change a bit in both you and Ola in this way. And I hope we all can continue to do this. You know, it used to be, and I think a lot of people, they get caught up in the works of Christianity so when I say the works, even prayer can be a work where you are just, okay, well, I have to pray and I have to do this. And so you just get to work with begging God, right? And and you don't actually open yourself up to receive from him. So you just come with your own will. And I don't know if you guys do this. I'm not really saying that, but a lot of people do. I've done it in the past. I am guilty, but I'll come with my own will. And just like Renelle, what you were saying about the cancer patient, right? Or the cancer friend of yours. You come with your own will because you believe it's something that God would want. So then you start begging for it. And you are like, well, if I pray hard enough, then that will happen. But if you notice, anytime you'll meet with me, like if we meet for a private session, I just say, okay, let's hear from the Lord. Let's seek the Lord and see what he wants. And half the time, it's not anything that we've even been seeking. It's some random thing that I had no clue about. You had no clue about, but the Lord did. And then the other half the time, he leads us exactly in what we're hoping to see something about. Sometimes he's like, hey, stay out of it. I mean, he said this to me. I don't know how many times where I'm like, I know you just asked this, but the Lord is saying that I need to not be involved. And I think it's important that we come with an openness to that we just go, your will. Because if we're praying, I was just talking about this to the 201 class this morning. If we pray the Lord's Prayer, everybody knows Lord's Prayer. How did Yeshua teach us to pray? Your kingdom come and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, right? That's how he taught us to pray. But what we've been praying this whole time has been, my will hopefully is your will, God. So please make this happen. And it's instead of going, what's your will, Lord? Then let that be manifest on the earth. And so if we pray a different way, hey, how can I partner with what you're doing, Lord? What's my next step? What do I do with you? Because as he's calling us to be priests and kings, he's calling us up to partner with him in building the kingdom of heaven on the earth. And so all we do is go, okay, what do you want to do today, Lord? And then he goes, oh, let's just release this blanket of shalom over this person. Okay. You know, it's so strange what he'll tell us to do sometimes, and it'll make such great sense. Last week, I was teaching a class on angels to the 201 class. And all of these angels came to join with us, and they started basically ministering to each person in a different way. And the Lord was showing me this. And so it's almost like the Lord was giving me a word for them, but it was really not exactly a word. It was just me sharing what the angel was doing in their life. Okay. And so he showed me each person. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Kind of like Prophet Amparo, but it was just a little different. It was like what this angel's doing. And you know, Robert, I don't know if you guys know Robert Jordan, but he lives in my backyard. Okay. He ministers with me, but he's also part of that class. And so because he lives in my backyard, it sounds like he's camping. He's not. There's the studio apartment back there. But anyway, I see him a lot. So it's one of those things that I pretty much know what's going on in his life. But this angel gave me this word like about what he was doing in Robert's life. And it made no sense to me. And I was like, I hope he doesn't like think I'm crazy. And, you know, you get these feelings sometimes when you're supposed to deliver something. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just give it and it's up to him now. And so I gave it to him. Oh man, it made perfect sense to him. And so if I wasn't just seeking, hey, Lord, what do you want to do? You know, then I wouldn't have gotten that would give all this confirmation to him in his life. I would not have done that because I would be seeking a certain thing only, and I wouldn't have the Lord's heart in mind for Robert. I'd only have my heart in mind. And so anyway, I didn't mean to make this a big preaching thing, but Debo, thank you for sharing all of that. I feel like there's so much that's going on in your life that is applicable to us all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so next, how about your wifey?
Hola.
Hi.
Hello.
I can put my camera on. Sorry. I don't know if you can see me. I am tired.
Yes,
But...
so nice to see.
So yeah, I actually wanted to talk about the same thing with regards to witchcraft in the church. The conviction that I have is that because I like praying, when people ask me for prayer, I just go in. I'm like, can we pray that? Oh, yeah, sure. In the name of Jesus, we step into, like I just go and just take the word scripture and just, and I got convicted because what's God's will? It is witchcraft if we just come and we're just like, almost demanding and praying and, like if you're in church and where they're casting and whatever, and you're just going all guns blazing on something that might not even be God's will. And I think that that also again stems from the African church way of prayer, because when our forefathers were into the gods of the land and witchcraft and all, they just go and they sort of like almost make demand, sacrifice and demand. And there was no will or no will of God. And I feel that a lot of the preachers that then came to Christ came with the mindset of you just get what you want. The difference is, it's now in Jesus' name versus it's no more in Ogun's name or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of witchcraft in the church because people's mindsets are the same. They just brought in the same culture and they're trying to then do the things they want in the name of Jesus. So that was what I really felt, in terms, and I know, and it's amazing because I know this, but I've seen that I've fallen prey of that, where you just go and you pray. Even when it comes to praying for people, there's also just knowing what God's will is in terms of, am I even meant to be doing what I'm doing? It's not all works that are good works. If we're not being called to the works, we're just busy in church. And again, the African way is when we're in church, we serve everywhere, you get burnt out. But what's God asking us to do versus you just making yourself so busy all the time? So to just live our lives, being spirit-led, not necessarily religion, because that religion part is a lot of witchcraft. There's so much I don't want to go into it, because I even had a conversation with a friend, and just literally picking out the things that have become norm in, first of all, African churches, but then again, Pentecostal, that we've brought in to, Pentecostalism is, there's so much, yeah. And that's why engaging is also a shift in mindset. And I realized that that's also why I struggled transitioning, because you can't be what's that word I use for my children? Entitled. You can't just come and be entitled. I'm getting this in the name of, like just some things that might not even be God's will, and you're demanding. So yeah, that's my own take
That's awesome. Thank you. So Amanda, our graduate, I'm guessing you didn't do the homework because you're not required to, but is there anything you want to share on that stuff?
I was listening to earlier when Debo was talking about engaging while you drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that I've learned to do is a lot of times I look back on my relationship with the Father and just realize that I've been engaging in certain instances, and driving is one of them. And you know, I've had trouble in the past with driving. Sometimes I'll start getting anxiety and stuff like that, but it just really has relaxed me a lot. And then I just go, oh well, you know, I'm not really the one that's driving, so and I just kind of sit back and just relax while I'm driving. And also, you know, I have certain other times that I've been engaging in that I can really hear. And one of them is in the shower, and I think about when we did immersion,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about how uh Yahim, how he talked about the frequency of the water. And I, you know, it's like the Father was showing me that that is one of the reasons that I can hear more and see more and be more clear on what he's telling me, is because of the frequency from the water. And so just certain little things like that, just, you know, just have really opened my eyes and my ears. And but one thing that this past couple of weeks I've been in a lot of pain with my legs, but one thing that the Father has showed me is that it's only for a minute, and it's not going to rule everything in my world like I have let it be ruling everything, you know, because I'll get down, I'll get upset, and then it's like, no, that's not how it should be, you know, because I remember Joshua telling me one day that the Lord wanted me to focus on other things and not focus on the pain or what I was going through. And I was like asking the Father, how am I not supposed to do that, you know? And so I feel like now he's showing me, see, you don't have to, that's not your focus. That's not your focus. Everything else, you know, can be your focus. So.
You know what? I know you know some of my story. Not everybody does, but I went through a period where I had really severe sciatica, down both legs into my feet. And I was in constant, really severe pain for 3 years. And like, I didn't get a break at all. There was no break of pain. And what happened in those years was so good for me, even though it was horrible to go through. It was so painful that the only escape I could get, even though, you know, the doctors prescribed me a stupid amount of narcotics and all that, never touched it. But the one thing that could help me escape the pain was just to be escaping into the Spirit and to be able to focus in the Lord and resting in Him. And I gained so much intimacy during that time that I really believe that that's why it was easy for me to start engaging, is because I had this foundation of intimacy that other people didn't have. And it was only because of the pain, which is so funny. I could look back and be thankful for it now, because at the time you're like, Lord, will I ever get a break? Right?
Yes, yes.
I remember, please, Lord, just 2 minutes, give me 2 minutes. And now I'm really thankful for that time, because it brought me so close to Him. So I feel what you're feeling. I get it. I'm sure the Lord will use it for your benefit in His glory, though.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. Well, that brings us into a great transition, since we're talking about rest today. All right. Bible quiz time, people. This is an easy one. What's the one thing that the Lord tells us to strive for?
Rest.
Strive to enter into his rest.
Exactly.
Kindness.
Strive to enter into his rest. So, what does that even make sense to anybody? Strive to enter his rest. So that means try really, really hard to not try hard. Right? Strive to enter into his rest. And it doesn't just mean rest in general, because you can go to sleep and not be entering into his rest, right? I mean, I've done it lots of times. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about entering into his rest, which is resting in him, and not just resting our bodies, but resting all of us. Okay, quick plug. I'm doing a refresh retreat in London next month that is all about this: resting in body, soul, and spirit, and receiving healing by entering his rest. And so it's going to be an immersion experience there. So if y'all are interested in going, let me know. I'll send you the info. But man, this is super important, not just the retreat. I'm saying like entering his rest is so very important. Janina said she's losing connection. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I will upload this after just in case you miss it. But there's so many ways that we need to enter his rest and so many ways that we can enter his rest. I just want to share all sorts of things with you today. Okay. So I want you to, if you can, like here's Renelle, she's always taking notes. If you have a piece of paper or a pen or something like that, maybe you do it on your phone like I do. I always take notes on my phone. I want you to write down anything that really kind of, when you get the Holy Spirit, oh, that's for me, that little thing. Okay. When you get one of those, you write it down. Okay. Because you are going to work hard to enter his rest, right? Strive to enter his rest. So when you hear that, write it down so you can take note that that's for you. Okay. And there'll be so much more that the Lord shows you besides what he's shown me, but I'm going to just talk about some of this today. First of all, rest has been one of the hardest things for me. I grew up in a really small town where everyone does everything. I don't know if anybody else has been from a small town before, but it takes everybody to pitch in for everything. And that is the culture. And so in school, I was in every single club and sport and activity that was possible. I have a bigger resume than anybody because of these things. When I went to college, it was the same way because I went to a small college in a small town. So you're busy all the time. Every church you're in, you do 300 roles. You're not just a greeter. You're a greeter. You make food for the potluck. You are on the prayer team. You're gathering the money for the tithes. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're doing a million things. And this is how I learned to be, was busy all the time, which creates a lifestyle that is really hard for rest. And I remember the first time I heard my campus pastor when I was in university, I heard him talking about creating margin in your life. And I was like, that just sounds impossible. He's saying all these things. And I'm like, how do you create margin? I'm taking 24 credit hours a semester. I'm in all these different activities, trying to get all my stuff done to graduate a year early. This is okay. That's because I learned to be an overachiever. I learned to be busy, to do all the things. And so creating margin seemed impossible to me. And then one time I was already in ministry and I was working for a workaholic. So I was working like 100 hours a week in ministry. And the Lord told me I needed to take a Sabbath. This should be a duh thing for everybody, okay? It's in the top 10, right? Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. I was not doing that. I did not understand that. I'm like, doesn't that mean Sunday when I'm really busy because I'm working at church? Like, this is what I'm thinking back then. And the Lord said, no, you need to keep a Sabbath. And so here's what I did. I tried to fit in a day of rest into my busy schedule. And sometimes it would happen and other times it wouldn't happen. And this took years for me to even get to a time where I would actually do Sabbath. And the Lord kind of had to slap me around a little bit to make me. And when I say make me, this is okay. He never really makes me do anything, but it's very hard for me to disobey the Lord. If he tells me something and gives me direct ways of doing it, then I kind of have to. That's how I feel. And so anyway, one day he said to me, I want you to start taking a Sabbath, and I want you to take it on the traditional Sabbath day, which I already knew was Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And I was so against following religion that I had never done that before because I thought, oh, no, that's just a religious way. But then the Lord said it. So then I'm like, okay, buddy, whatever you say, that's what I'm doing. And so I was really nervous about this because I was part of a business at that time, a side gig, but I had some major roles in this conference that we would do to make money every other Saturday. And if I didn't show up to it, I had all the sound equipment and I was the one who ran all the slides and did all the stuff. If I didn't show up, it didn't happen. And so then I was like really nervous about this is going to shut down everybody's business. You know what I mean? But I said, okay, Lord, I trust you. I'll do it anyway. And I did it anyway. And at first it was really hard for me to truly rest because he told me, I want you to actually rest and do no work. Well, what he has shown me is for me, work is one thing that's different than for Renelle. Okay. So what she considers work is different than what I consider. I don't know you that well, Renelle, but I spent a little bit of time with you and you're a person who really likes to tidy up, right? That probably doesn't seem like work to you. It makes you feel better. Okay. So for me, I'm the complete opposite. I'm like tidying up as work to me. So I was like, okay, on Sabbath, I'm not doing dishes. That's the thing. I'm not doing dishes because that's work to me. But the problem is my husband at the time was not observing Sabbath like me. And he is a lot like Renelle, and he needs to have things like in order to be able to rest. Okay. So he's like busy kind of, I don't know how to say this. I always call it angry cleaning. That's now, I don't know that you do that, Renelle, but he would always be like really fast and furious, like kind of angry cleaning is what it felt like. Even though he wasn't saying anything bad, he would be doing that. And I would be not cleaning, feeling guilty, like I should be helping. He's like, I want him to feel better, but the Lord's telling me not to. And it was really hard for me to rest because even though I was not doing anything, I wasn't entering into his rest. Do you know what I mean? So there's one thing that's not doing something and another thing that's entering into his rest. And so I wasn't allowing myself to enter into his rest because I was still people pleasing in my heart. And so it took me quite a while to really learn how to enter into his rest and to make it be a joy and not a burden. Because to me, it was almost a burden to have to rest. Now, if you meet me today, Sabbath is my favorite. It is my vacation day of the week. It is where I'm commanded to feast. Like, I love food. Okay. So I love food. I love rest. I love being able to just be with the Lord and my family or whatever I want to do. This is a me day that the Lord has set aside for me to rest in Him. And so now I get super excited. It's almost Friday night. Oh, it's almost sundown. And I get like so excited about it because it's my vacation day. And so it's a mandated vacation, which when I changed my thinking to I have to quit doing stuff to I get to vacation, then everything shifted for me. And so then after I was doing that for a while, he called me to celebrate the feasts, the biblical feasts. Well, I was an idiot when it came to the feast. I don't know anything about it. Like, I'd been to maybe a couple Seder meals in my whole life, but even then I certainly couldn't run one. I didn't know anything about when are the feasts? What do I do for the feasts? I still am learning. But when he told me to do that, it felt like a burden at first because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't even know where to start. But the thing is, he brought the feast to me. Even when I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the understanding. He brought it to me. And he started bringing these things to me to where it wasn't a burden. It was really resting in him. And so now I see the feast days as vacation again. It's wonderful. It's rich time with the Lord. It's time with family and friends, and it's time that I can really set aside for him. And it's totally different. This is something that has been so helpful to me, is to have these times where the Lord has actually created margin for us. So when I thought, there's no way I can do this, the Lord has set it up for us that if we just do what he has said to do, it's already laid out for us and we have margin in our lives already. We just have to pay attention to it and not fill it. Because have you ever had a piece of paper and you have these two margins on the side? And sometimes you're like, there's not quite enough room, so I'm going to just write little notes over here in the margin. You know, he's going, leave the margin, just leave it. Okay. Just fill in this space, leave the margin and start another page. And that's what he's telling us to do in our lives. And so in the heavenly realms, when we go and we enter into his rest, it can look a lot of different ways. So for me, I'm going to just give you some examples of what it looks like in my life. Okay. Then you can go, maybe that's for me. And then ask the Lord, and then he'll probably lead you into something totally different. But it might be something like this. So when I first started to engage, I heard Mike Parsons say he would always, when he would go and lay down to go to sleep at night, he would ask the Lord, Yeshua, to take his soul, to let his soul rest while his spirit was awake. And what happened is he started functioning in the spirit, but getting rest for his soul at night. So I was like, heck yes, that's what I need. Because one, I don't like dreaming like everybody else. Everybody else loves to dream. I'm like, I'm awake enough. Like, give me some rest. That's how I feel. So for me, sleeping is like, I don't have to think. I don't have to worry. I don't have to do anything. Just let me rest. And so I started doing that. And I would lay myself down to rest with Yeshua. And oftentimes we would kind of lay on the bank of the river, like the river of life. And that's one place that we went almost every night. And then Okay, so at this time, my son, who's now 16, I can't believe it, a man, now he was 8 years old, okay? And when he was born, he was a preemie. He was 2 months early, and he had a heart condition when he was born. So he had to be on a heart monitor all the time. And that being said, I had to always be in the same room as him because of the heart monitor. We could never leave each other. If I went to the bathroom, he went to the bathroom. Like it had to be like that. My husband was deployed in the military, so he wasn't another person to help out. It was just me. And so when that happened, Soren got very attached to me. So he never went to sleep without me. Like I had to be holding him when he was a baby for him to sleep, which was really stressful for me at first. I started to get used to it. But throughout his life, he was still very attached to where he couldn't go to sleep without touching me. So I had to lay down with him until he fell asleep. Okay, 8 years old. He should be able to sleep by now, by himself, right? I am mom who's like, oh my gosh, come on, you know. And the Lord just showed me that all I needed to do was show him how to engage with me in the heavens when he goes to sleep, and we can rest together there. And so Soren had this hammock that he would go and spend time with Yeshua in. Okay. So I know it sounds strange, but he would engage in the heavens, and there was this hammock that he would lay with Yeshua. And then he had this like pet koala, and he would lay there in the hammock. And so I said to Soren, hey, tonight, instead of me laying here and touching you, I want you to engage in the heavens with Yeshua in your hammock, and I will meet you there. I said, when I engage to go to sleep, I will meet you there too. And I said, you know, time isn't the same here as it is there. So even if I go to bed 3 hours later than you, I'll still be there with you when you start to engage. And so he did. He started to engage that, and it was perfect. It was wonderful. And so I would engage that every night. I would go and rest with Yeshua in the hammock with Soren. And that's what we did for a long time. So think about maybe if you need to rest with somebody else, maybe Ola and Debo, maybe you guys need to rest in the heavens together, even if you don't go to sleep at the same time or whatever. That might be something that you can do. Maybe you have a family member like Amparo, maybe your son. Maybe you can engage with your son in the heavenly realms, even though he's not into it now. You can engage with him and rest with him. Think about this, you guys, just how is this that the Lord is going to lead you? There have been times now when I go to rest, it's not the same as it used to be. I'm not in the hammock with Soren anymore. Sometimes I see him there, but almost all the time now, I am led to rest in the bedchamber of the Father's heart. So I go and I rest there with him. When I'm resting there with him, there's this level of protection that is different. And it's like nothing can even come and touch me. And so he often has me go there to rest with him. It's a place of intimacy. It's a place of rest. And it's just a place of comfort and kind of well-being. And so I like to go and rest in him in that way. So you might be led to rest with Yeshua. You might be led to rest with the Father. In fact, right now I can tell that at least one of you is supposed to go and rest in the arms of the Father on the throne. So I know that you're supposed to just kind of rest like a little kid in his arms. So I don't know if that's you, but if it is, write it down. There are lots of different ways for me when I am beat up. I'm maybe sick, or I've been attacked a lot by the enemy, or just having a really crappy day. Yeshua will take me into the river of life. He holds me in his arms like a big baby or like you're carrying somebody to the hospital, you know what I mean? And he takes me into the river and just holds me there and lets me rest in his arms in the river. And especially if I'm in pain or something like that, he does that with me a lot there. And so I try to focus there as much as possible, especially when I'm focusing in rest. And I really recommend that you ask the Lord, when do I need to rest? Find a time that you rest in him daily. Another thing I do is I go out and I ground every day. Do you guys know what grounding is? I know Renelle does. We've done it together. You go outside and put your bare feet on the ground, right? Some people call it earthing, but you're connecting to the frequency of the ground. What it does is it does a reset in your body energetically. It's wonderful for getting refocused in the spirit. Okay. If you're struggling to focus, go ground and just focus in the Lord. So I do this a lot. I go outside. Usually I try to do it for half an hour, but I do like a minimum of 2 minutes. Okay. So if it's really cold, like here, it gets very, very cold. And so if it's very, very cold, my feet can't stand it very long. So I'll go for 2 minutes. But really, I try to do it as long as I can, get some vitamin D at the same time. But my kids have found that this is a good time to do it for them too. So the other day, my Neva, she's 12, she came up, Mom, will you please come outside and ground with me? And so we go and we spend time together and we spend time with the Lord and we just focus and we enjoy his nature and we enjoy all of creation, everything that he's given us. We think about the wind and the ruach, that's important for us. But you can find little moments of time. Maybe you have a lunch break or you have a daily walking routine, or I don't know what it is for you, but you can find some time to rest in the Lord. If you're like, I can't go outside, there's no way, that's fine. Do it wherever you can. I even am intentional in the mornings. You may or may not know this about me. I told Soren to do this the other day because he was struggling. One of the things I have for my kids in homeschooling is they have to engage every day. And so Soren was like, I don't know, I'm just not focusing well. I'm struggling that I'll wake up, I'll start engaging, and then I fall asleep. And I'm like, oh, well, I do that too. And I said, but this is what I do. I intentionally set my alarm early enough that I can press snooze twice. And so what I do is I set my alarm, I press snooze, and I start engaging. And then inevitably, the first time I fall asleep sometime. And so then it wakes me up again and I push snooze again and start engaging again. And so that's something for me. I just love starting my day with really intentionally engaging with the Lord. And so for me, that's a little margin I put in those snooze times. I put a little margin in so that I can spend time with the Lord. And I don't have an agenda except if he tells me something I need to do. So I really just spend time with him by myself. So what I've done recently, a couple of years ago, the Lord told me that when I do Shabbat, so that's Sabbath, when I do that every week, I am not supposed to engage over anyone else, only focus on my relationship with him. And now he makes exceptions to that. Sometimes he'll say, okay, do this now. Go do this conference. Go, I need you to pray for this person. Sometimes he will do that. But most of the time, it's only focused on my relationship with him. And for me, it may not be like this for you, but for me, my whole day, every day is focusing on engaging over other people. So I get a lot of time with him, but I don't get a lot of time for just him and me. You know what I mean? So my growth, my development, my rest in him, I don't really get that as much as other people. I have a lot of cool experiences, but I don't get that intimacy time with him unless I'm super intentional. So for me, you guys will message me, hey, engage over me for this. you'll notice if you message me on a Sabbath, I either won't answer or I will say, I certainly will do that, but I am probably not going to be doing it right then. I will do it later. The cool thing is the Lord is outside of time. And so it doesn't matter if I'm 7 hours later than when you need it, because in heaven, I'm still engaging at the same time. So it doesn't matter. So for me, you'll notice that's why I say, hey, get your homework in at a certain time. It's because I'm not going to be looking at it during Sabbath. My focus is not on other people. It's on my relationship with him. And so we have to have these times of rest in our lives. You know, even in the Bible, Old Testament days especially, but even in New Testament, there was this year of Jubilee, right? Every 7 years, there was a year of Jubilee, which was totally different. You didn't do normal tithing on that year. All sorts of debts were released. You didn't work the same on that year. Everything was different. And what the Lord did is he set these certain seasons. He just set it up to where there's rest in these certain seasons. And he did it with years. He did it with seasons in the year. He did it within the month, during the weeks, you know. I mean, it's amazing. He really set us up for success in resting. And so this has to be a priority for us. And I'm telling you this, if you are going to be a minister of the Lord, you have to prioritize rest, or you will get burnt out in 2 seconds. There are times when I don't rest enough and the Lord takes me out so I can rest. It's super important that we prioritize that. It will look different for everyone probably, but it needs to be something that you work out with the Lord and you say, hey, what is this for me? What should this look like in my life right now? Are there things that you want to cut out of my life that I'm doing right now that I don't need to be doing for this season? Do I need to create margin? And maybe you're a person that's like, I don't have enough to do. What are you talking about? That's fine. If you're that person, awesome. I'm just never been that person, so it doesn't really apply to me. But I do know that we have to make it a priority. And so that's one reason why I do these refresh conferences and these retreats and things like that. It's because people need just a time away to focus on the Lord, to just focus on him and rest and not have to lead anything and not have to do anything except for just receive. And that is so powerful. You know, we can go on vacation with our family and fill it up with all sorts of activities and really have no rest in the Lord. But we need to make sure that we do have rest in him and that that's something that we can focus on and prioritize in our lives. You can do it a lot of ways. You can do it with your family. You can have a night of worship, you know, whatever you do, just have it be something where he can minister to you. That's the benefit of resting in him. There are lots of angels who can help with these things if you struggle with getting things done or whatever. You can ask them for help to help you step into his rest. And if you find yourself striving in work, in your family, in whatever it is, remember, we are not supposed to strive except to enter his rest. And so let that be a little like, ding, ding, ding. Oh, you're striving. Okay. How do I enter his rest? I want to give a word of encouragement. Many of you know my sister, Kim, who's super strong in the faith. She is not only a sister in blood to me, but she is, you know, sister in the faith. And when she first started engaging, she was so excited to do everything. And the Lord kept telling her, just sit in your seat of rest. And he would put her on her throne and make her sit there and do nothing else. And this happened for months before she was able to do anything else. It was so important to him that she just learned to sit in her seat of rest. That when you're governing your life, you're resting. You are not striving. You're resting there with him. And so if you are discouraged because I just don't see anything, I'm not doing these things, the Lord might be saying, hello, you need to rest. Rest in me. This is why I never have any judgment toward anyone. If you're not seeing and hearing and whatever, if the Lord makes you fall asleep during our engaging times, it's fine. Like literally, I am fine with that because I know that there are times when you simply have to rest in him and you need to learn that rest before you can do anything else. Yeah. Okay. Questions. Anybody have a question?
This is not a question,
Okay.
but a comment.
Yeah.
Ronald, stop me if I'm going too far, but when we engaged today, we were asking about strategies, like show us the first step, show us the next step. And we had just commissioned this heavenly team to do the things that they showed us to do. When Ronald texted me and said, you will not believe it. Like the things that we thought shouldn't happen just happened. And now it was like, what are we going to do now? And we knew that we were just supposed to rest in it because they were taking care of it.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah, I thought so.
You know, a lot of times we think, wait, shouldn't I have more to do with this? What am I doing that what am I not doing that I'm supposed to be doing right now? And the Lord is just like, hello, I did this so you can rest. Resting is the cool part. And remember when I said we were all in this pool, this giant pool in our classroom, resting in joy. Resting doesn't have to be dreadful. Resting can be awesome. And you can enjoy yourself. And the Lord has created a life for us that we can actually enjoy. Right? We get so stressed out by everything. And he's like, yo, you forgot that this was supposed to be a good thing for you. It's not always, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing the right things. Oh, what am I supposed to be doing? The better question is, what am I supposed to be not doing? What am I supposed to be not doing so I can actually enjoy him more? Yeah. And you'd be surprised some of the things that you think there's no way that anything can get done if I don't do this. And the Father will be like, I can surprise you. He's done this to me before. There was this season in my life where I was beyond stressed out. And I was walking in stress so much I didn't even understand how stressed I was. And I started having these really random nerve pains everywhere. And the Father told me I needed to abdicate my throne to Yeshua. So I don't know if you know what that means. It means give it up to him for him to rule instead of me. And then the Father told me, quit making any decisions at all. I want you to stop making decisions. And I was just like, how am I supposed to do that? I'm like, a mother, first of all, you kind of have to decide what's for dinner, do all the things. Well, then, not a day later, we had hail. You guys have hail everywhere you're at? It's like, the big old things of ice falling from the sky. Anyway, it's common in Kansas. Almost everybody has hail damage, but we had hail. So I got hail damage on my car and I had to call my insurance company. about the hail damage. So I had this claim in. And then later that day, I'm driving down to visit my grandmother who's in a nursing home at the time. And this car in front of me, this truck, runs over. Have you ever seen like a semi truck and they shed off these certain parts of their tire and there are these huge parts of their tire in the middle of the road? Well, he ran over one of these huge parts of tire and it flew up and hit my car and like totaled it just by that. And so anyway, for the second time in a row that day, I had to call the insurance for a claim. And I've never done two claims in one day. And so anyway, I call the insurance and it is a mess. And I have a totaled car and I'm not supposed to make any decisions. And I'm like, yeah, right. How am I supposed to not make a decision on these things? All of a sudden I have to find a new car, and I'm in this whole predicament. And as soon as I start to go looking for cars, the Father just gives me that little shooting pain again that is a reminder, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to not make decisions, God. This is what I was doing. I don't understand how to just not do it. And he's like, well, are you going to let Yeshua rule or not? Oh, and so here I quit making a decision and I'm thinking, how am I going to go through this whole process? There's no physical way to not do this. Yes, the Lord can do it, but he's spirit. He can't make phone calls like this is, I'm going through all this in my head, like I have to do this. How do I not do this? But I'm still trying all the time to give it over to the Lord, to just rest in him, all of this. And I'm literally striving to enter his rest because it is not easy at this point. And he makes me do this for probably 2 weeks, which doesn't seem like a long time for you, but for me, it was a long time of not making decisions at all. And by the end of the time, the Father had worked everything out way more miraculously than I ever could have, than I ever knew possible. The insurance company called me and said, well, this has never happened before, but we're going to pay out on both of your claims and you can keep your car, but also have all this money that it's worth so you can get it fixed and all this other money for the hail damage as well. And this whole thing worked out in a way that I could keep my car, not make a decision on buying a new car, have it fixed in a way that then I made money off of it. It was so bizarre. And it was so the Lord saying, hey, I can rule better than you, right? That's like what he was trying to teach me. I'm like, of course I know, but I apparently didn't know because I was just thinking I have to do it. And he said, I can take you out completely and take care of your life better than you can. And so I know that he can do it. And sometimes he'll take you out in times. Maybe you'll get sick and think it's a kick from the enemy. And it's really him saying, making you rest because you won't sit down and rest. He does that to me sometimes. And so I'm continually learning rest. It's not an easy process, but it is so important and so wonderful for our spirit and for our body and for our soul. Sometimes we just get to this place where we just have to say, hey, life is kind of sucking right now, and I need you, Lord. So as we were engaging earlier today, the Lord wanted me to play for you this freakishly old song. It's not that old, but it is from when I was in high school, and I'm not telling you how old I am. So it's from a long time ago, and it's called Come Rest. So I found it on YouTube and I'm going to play it for you guys. And I want you to just focus in on the lyrics and on the Lord. Okay. So bear with me while I try to share it with you. Well, I know at least somebody here that was for. So if you need that song, it's by Considering Lily, called Come Rest. Well, you guys, this week, I'll send you some homework, but really the homework is resting. Okay, it's practicing entering his rest. And if you feel like it, you might want to spend a little time with him asking how to put rest into your life, how he wants to do that. But hopefully, as you took a couple notes, maybe you got some things that the Lord was like, yeah, seek this thing. Okay. Yeah. I know that the Lord has some good stuff for us if we rest in him. And so the homework is not going to be full of questions and answers and partner times and all of that. Just take a week to rest and to focus on rest, not just not doing homework, but actually focusing on resting in him. Okay. Good. All right. If you're a kingdom builder, in 10 minutes, we're going to have some good conversation on podcast on this channel on Zoom. So if you want to hop on, do it. And I'll put some information about the London retreat, and you can ask the Lord if you're supposed to go and rest. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Love
Pleasure.
you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.